Local Outbreak with IPMNation.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet. Matt Connerton from IPMNation.com here with you, and we're going to dive in quick, no big preamble this week because I really want to try to get the entire thing in. My conversation with New Hampshire musician Cole Crusciel and his discussing his music and his various projects and so forth. So here it is. We're going to go right to it. Here's the first part of my interview with this week's Local Outbreak guest, Cole Crusciel. Cole, tell us about your music, because you've got multiple projects going, it seems like.
Yeah, that's what everyone keeps telling me. I think so. I'm currently in Manchester going to college, and I started doing music. 14, 15 years old, give or take.
Yeah.
I had a really, really good friend, one of my best friends in the whole world, pretty much brought me onto his band and said, "Hey, I'm writing music, and we're in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, and most people don't know what a guitar is, and you know what a guitar is, and I know what a guitar is. So let's record some music."
All about the cadence, by the way.
It's all about it. Really is, you know.
Yes.
If there's anything more to that, it's beyond me.
Right.
So all about the cadence, lyrics, words, whatever you call them.
Yes.
So my friend went on to go to school for audio engineering. But before that happened, we basically pulled our finances and bought all the things we would need to actually get some recordings going. So we formed this band called Farewell Reality, and actually managed to record an entire album before we both left for college, which is, looking back, actually really incredible, because we basically hammered the whole thing out in pretty much the period of about 4 weeks or so.
Wow.
It's on Bandcamp, it's on Spotify, under Farewell Reality. I think we played like 3 or 4 shows in PA together. Didn't really do much with it, but it was like a really, really cool venture into songwriting with somebody who knew what they were doing. I had a lot of passion for it, but I was pretty much just throwing things at the wall.
Yeah.
And then Vince would kind of take them and he would put them in a nice little organized fashion and say, "This is what you want to give to the world." And I said, "That's exactly it," as opposed to just the splattered on the wall.
Right.
So I got to college, continued to play with some people, and I eventually was looking to do some professional recordings. And I've, if nothing else, am passionate. So I got to the point where I figured might as well try to start finding some places that would be interested in recording me, listening to some of my stuff, giving it a go and see what they think of it. I submitted a demo to a studio called Plaid Dog Recording, in Allston, Massachusetts.
I think I'm not familiar, but I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really cool project. Started by this guy, Mike Davison, and Brian Fenley. Are pretty much the spearheads of it. And their idea was that there's a ton, especially in the Allston area in Boston, with Berkeley so close.
Yeah.
There's all these musicians who, would love to record music and, really just need the money to do it. They're fantastic. I don't believe for a second that you have to be wealthy to make good art. That makes no sense.
Right.
But you do have to have a little bit of extra cash to record stuff. It's really, really expensive. Crazy expensive, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I'm admiring all of your microphones and stuff in the studio and just, sucking my breath because I just see dollar signs. So I submitted a demo and they said, "Listen, we'd love to bring you on." And the way that they run it is they do a crowdfunding deal with it. So basically they said, "We will help you do a crowdfunding essentially project through a website called Indiegogo. You can offer prizes, perks, etc. And then we need to make X amount of dollars in order to record a full album." I said, "You know what? What else? What do I got to lose? If this is how I get to record music, and if that's what I really want to do with my life, why would I not do that? Because, why not?" So all of last spring, pretty much from March until April-ish or so, we ran a campaign. The campaign was successful. We raised about 83 or 84% of what we were hoping to raise, which was enough to fund the album. So I'm recording songs in their studio and supplementing some of the tracks with songs that are happening, with tracks that are happening at my studio on campus that I'm recording myself with my microphones and such there.
Oh, okay.
So the whole thing will be coming together. I am actually in studio tomorrow at 6 o'clock, finishing up guitar and bass, and then I have one more session to do vocals, and it's pretty much done. The process of mixing and mastering obviously is a process in and of itself. We're looking for some January, February, March-ish winter release dates. But I'm really happy that it's coming together. It's weird to have been talking about it for so long, and so many of the songs that I have written for this project are now things that I've written, 2, 3, 4 years ago, and I now have new material that I'm excited to record when this is done. That I want to take in different directions. It's super, super cool to have it, finishing up and done.
When you're recording things that you had written several years ago, do they wind up different in some way? I mean, I'm sure they're pretty close to, how you originally wrote them or originally played them, but whereas you're recording them later, so much later than when you wrote them, do they kind of do the songs change kind of organically or maybe even intentionally?
Absolutely. So much of I guess my creative process has to do with the people I surround myself with. And so I've been really blessed to have a lot of really good friends, really close people who have been not only influential with playing my music, quote unquote, but being willing to make it their music as well.
Yeah.
And so, when I play with people and they say, "Hey, this is a really cool song. Have you thought about, trying this with it?" To me, that's not like an insult of, "Oh, you should change your music because it sounds as good." It's, the idea that, hey, this is expanding, this is evolving. My mode of view is always going to be limited by my experiences in life in general, and especially with creativity.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to open that door and let other people take it and see where they go with it, and then, willing to add on to that, I think that's really special. As well as will give you, I guess, more of an idea of where you actually want to go with something. Sometimes you're limited by where you think you want to go until someone else shows you another option.
Yeah.
So I have a song called Pew 13 that was the first single we released back in April. I think we put it out March or April. And it's much more of a mellow kind of lo-fi indie vibe.
Yeah.
Ton of fun to make, and then in the process of between fundraising and now getting back in studio, almost all the songs I'd written took much more of a rock turn, and everything just became overdriven and faster somehow.
Yeah.
Don't know how it happens. So I released, basically a more mellow song, and the whole album was, looking to be more of that style.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, just the mindset I was in, the people I was around, things just took much more of a heavy turn. So now the album rather is looking much more like it's going to be rock centered or rock centric, which is exciting. Not something I originally intended when we started.
Yeah.
But cool to be at that point now.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, we actually, and that is one of the songs that you sent me. So why don't we give that a listen?
Yeah, let's go for it.
I've got it here. So this is from, so is this going to be re-released, or is this the version that's officially out?
Yes, so this version is on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, it's on iTunes. I don't know if those are the same thing anymore. Amazon, Bandcamp, etc. Pretty much anywhere you find music. And this will be re-released on the album. This is just a single ahead of it.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so let's give this a listen. So this is Pew 13 by The Crusciel Detail, and we'll play this, and then we'll come back and talk some more. We're here with Cole Crusciel, and Michael Martineau is here with us as well, but this is Cole's song, Pew 13.
Pills but also how person develops and what the character comes from and whether or not they can change. But honestly, I think because they're so connected, churches love people because of who they are. There's no point in trying. But also, I mean, what's life without love? What's life without love? Can't help but feel like there has to be something more than just going in circles, because it really seems like that's all there is. I don't know. Talk more later, I guess. I'll try and call you.
Local Outbreak with IPMNation.com.
This is Local Outbreak, and here's more of my conversation with Cole Crusciel. All right, that is Pew 13, the Crucial Detail. Cole Crusciel is here. So what's going on there in the, like, is that from a voicemail or something?
Yeah, the whole chorus is a voicemail that a friend of mine left me. She had left the voicemail itself is not the quote unquote original one. She had left me a voicemail very similar to that months before the song was recorded.
Yeah.
And I was writing the song and I had no real chorus for it. I just knew I kind of wanted to change the chords a little bit, but it didn't really have any like real unifying theme that I felt I could put into lyrics. And I was thinking, like, what is really the summation of the song? And to this day, I will say I really don't know still. I think it's still open to interpretation, mine included.
Yeah.
But I remember that, and so I sent her a text, or I called her and I said, hey, do you mind leaving me a voicemail just talking about your views on, X subjects? She said, yeah, why? And I said, well, I want to put it in a song. Can I do that? Are you okay with that? She's like, yeah, no problem. So that's a 2 or 3 minute voicemail. We spliced a couple of parts of it apart, put it back together, and got that. So it's funny because I think I sent it to her and she's like, oh, that's really cool. And I don't think I didn't talk to her for a while after that. And then I think, I don't know, months later, she's like, oh, I just found the song. I'm like, yeah, I sent it to you and it's real now. I don't know. It's kind of funny.
Oh, wow. Well, that's cool. Yeah. Why is it called Pew 13?
Great question. It's funny you mentioned that. My uncle, I was home last, and my uncle said the exact same thing. Like, cornered me, said, why is it called Pew 13? I've been speculating. It's actually based off a song from a band called Built to Spill. Built to Spill is an indie rock band in the 90s or so. Doug Marsh started it. And on the first song of their album, There Is No Enemy, is the song Aisle 13.
Oh, okay.
And half of it is based off of that. It's a callback to that. Built to Spill is an amazing band. You should all listen to them if you have not. But the idea for me was the idea that you're combining two things, a pew being, church, you have the idea that things are holy, things are good. Things, hopefully shouldn't ideally go wrong in a church. But the idea that you're still going to have, a 13th pew, an unlucky pew, if you're just looking at it naturally.
Interesting.
So you can be in the best spot of your life. You can have everything going for you. That's not to say things aren't going to go wrong. You might be in a good spot, but it doesn't necessarily mean everything's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
So to me, I personally view life very optimistically, which could be foolish at times, but I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
So I see no reason to stop.
Yeah.
But even looking at life in the best ways possible, you're still going to hit, your unlucky 13s, Friday the 13th and the such. Things are always going to go wrong somewhere along the line. You have to, be willing to recognize that and not just pretend the world is perfect.
Right.
But I still think looking through an optimistic lens and taking the best out of things that you can is still, I think, for me at least, is made me the happiest. So that's I guess a bit of the backstory.
Yeah, no, I like it, and and I like what you're saying too about being optimistic and and there is a difference between that, because some people will hear that and think that's Pollyanna or whatever, but I do think it's the best way to live. Because, being negative or being pessimistic, it really doesn't get you anything. Really,
exactly. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I think it's very, very interesting to me that we don't seem, I don't necessarily know if it's like a society or a cultural thing, or maybe it's just the people I hang out with, that it doesn't seem like there's a true understanding of what, I guess, looking through the world optimistically really, really amounts to. I'm a big believer in logic. I'm a big believer in looking at things for what it really is, find the truth of the matter, and go from there.
Yeah.
But I think that being optimistic doesn't mean that you should, look at everything through rose-colored glasses.
Right.
I think it's the ability to say that there is good that can be taken from every situation, and it is our choice if we're going to look for that good or if we're going to look at the bad in the situation.
Yeah.
They're both always available to us.
Right.
We don't have to take the bad. Sometimes it's going to, push into us. I would never tell somebody if a loved one has passed away, oh, just look at the positives. Look, you have,
Right.
more time to spend for yourself. That's terrible, obviously.
Right.
God forbid.
Yeah.
But there is good in every situation, even if that's months after the fact, even if that's in a small tangential thing that's happening at the same time. So for me personally, the fact that it has worked for me, I guess, doesn't necessarily mean everybody should do it. But it does mean that I'm going to keep doing it for as long as it seems to be doing its job. So.
As you should, and doing that too, you attract what you put out there. So if you're a positive person, you'll attract positive people.
I like to think so.
In your life, just as in the inverse, if you're a negative person, you'll attract negative people, and these things tend to feed on themselves. So, what do you attribute that to? Were you raised by parents who were optimistic people, or just were you raised in a very positive environment?
Yeah, I think I think so. I think looking back on it, it's weird because I think everyone's childhood is this kind of interesting mix between we have a couple of moments that we really remember, and then everything else is just, oh yeah, I guess I was there for 17, 18 years and things happened, and I guess I'm the way I am now because of that.
Yeah.
I was raised in a very like faith-filled household, very like stable household, despite having my own, every family is going to go through their ups and down moments and craziness.
Sure.
But I had a mother and a father who were very, 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 very loving, very, very kind, very, very fair. Gave me a lot of freedom for not just for my age, but just for a person in general.
Yeah.
Because I said, listen, we trust you, and if you screw that up, we won't trust you anymore. And I said, okay, you trust me. I would like to keep that, and I tried to do that. And I still remember, moments, especially, towards like high school, when you start to, I guess, have more concrete memories of things not going so well, like even little things that looking back, I guess, don't mean as much, like losing a soccer game or, not doing as well at the school show or something. And the response was never this, like, my mother would never break down in tears and say, I'm so sorry for you that happened. She's like, well, yeah, that sucks, man. You got to wake up tomorrow and just live the next day as best you can as well.
Yeah.
And that meant a ton, My mom is an independent business owner.
Oh, okay.
She works with Mary Kay selling makeup and such. And for the longest time, it was bewildering to me that's what she chose to do with her life. She was a teacher for a while. She had me and then wanted to stay at home and raise me. So she said, I'm going to choose to find a way I can both raise a kid and still be ambitious and have a business.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting because it wasn't probably until I got to college and out of the house that I really realized how big of a commitment that is and how difficult that is to do.
Yeah.
And the only reason she was able to do it is because she maintained this mentality of, every morning you can look at the bad things or the good things in life. And she just chose to keep looking at the good things. As far as I'm concerned, and, hopefully that is still what she's doing. I believe so based on my interactions with her nowadays.
Yeah.
But I think that carried over to me a lot more than I probably give it credit for even. So yeah, I would attribute at least some of it to my upbringing in rural Pennsylvania.
Well, and for her too, I mean, as an entrepreneur, obviously it's important to be an optimist, right? I mean, it's good to be an optimist regardless, but you can kind of, if you have a job that you go to every day where you're working for somebody else, you can kind of afford to be negative, if it's a steady gig and,
making your money. Yeah,
right.
Totally.
Which is what happens. A lot of people, there's millions of people who do that, and to me, it seems like kind of a waste of one's life if someone just, wakes up every day and goes to a job that they hate, and spends 40 hours a week or whatever doing something they hate, and they're just living for the weekend or whatever, and they fall into that. But to be an entrepreneur, you've really got to be optimistic because, obviously the only way you're going to be successful as an entrepreneur is if, you're optimistic about it and positive about it, and you have that intentionality that you are going to succeed and that you're not going to let anything stop you and prevent you from doing that. So I can see, it makes sense, that she's an entrepreneur, so she's positive. So she raised you to be positive.
Yeah, I think it carries very well. So hopefully it'll continue doing me well in the future. But yeah, I would attribute a lot of it back there.
Oh, hello to Fred Bonig from the Daily Ripple, who's in the Facebook live chat. Now, it's funny, you mentioned Pennsylvania. Fred's from Pennsylvania, Emmaus.
Oh, man, I wish I could tell you I knew where that was, but you could just throw all of New England into Pennsylvania, and man, every part of Pennsylvania it's such a unique personality and atmosphere. Hello, Fred from Emmaus. I do not know what part of Pennsylvania you're from, hopefully it's as good as mine was.
Where in Pennsylvania are you from?
Tiny town called Loretto. We're about an hour and a half, 2 hours to the east of Pittsburgh. So central western.
Yeah, I've been to Du Bois the past 2 years for softball championship. So.
Oh, fantastic. Nice.
Now, that sounds like a small place because I've not heard of that. What is that near a major city?
It's probably an hour and a half outside of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Right on 80. Probably 2 hours out. Probably 2 hours out of State College as well. So.
Oh, okay. So you know right where that is, probably. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Now, how is because you came here for college, right? To
Correct,
St. Anselm.
yes.
And what made you want to go to St. Anselm?
Yeah, so I went to a small private Catholic high school when I was in Pennsylvania. We graduated 65, 66, 67, something in that range. And of everybody, there were two of us to go abroad, out of state. For where we were, it was basically abroad.
Right.
But to go out of state, I believe, and if I skewed that number, I'm so sorry, but I believe there were only two of us. One was a foreign exchange student who went to California, and then I am the other person. So flew the coop a full 10 hours northeast.
Right.
Such a big, travel. My mom is originally from San Diego, so we grew up. We took a couple road trips out there. Her parents live in California some of the year, Idaho some of the year. So I was a big traveler growing up and loved it.
Wow.
And my dad, on the other hand, was from a small little town in Pennsylvania. They met in college. So my dad's family all lives within about 10 miles or so of where we live now in Pennsylvania. My mom's family is all over the West Coast. Her grandparents were in Maryland. So she was incentivized to come over for that reason.
Yeah.
And when I was going, looking at colleges, I said, I really would rather not stay in Pennsylvania. I'd rather, kind of get out there and see what else is out there. With nothing against Pennsylvania whatsoever. Absolutely love it there.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want to go around a place that I've already known. So I know all the West Coast. I know a lot of the Midwest. And the only places that I kind of pinpointed in the United States that I knew that there was no relatives or family members was Minnesota, Wisconsin-ish area, and New England. That was pretty much all. And I knew I didn't want to go south because of the heat. I just figured, if I can afford to be picky, I might as well be. And I masochistically like winter much more than summer. So I figured I'd go north. It's my time of year. I'm loving it.
I'm the opposite. I'm a summer guy.
Okay, we can talk about it later. We'll have some words outside, but for now, we'll stay civil, I guess.
Yes.
So when I came, I toured St. Anselm, and as well as St. Michael's, St. Bonaventure's in New York, and a couple other schools in this area.
Yeah.
St. Anselm, the cliche as it is, St. Anselm felt like home and had really good programs and the things I was interested in. I like the small community feel. I really like the monks over at St. Anselm are just super, super cool, down to earth guys.
Yeah.
To me, are very inspiring. I came from an environment where there were Franciscans. So a little bit of a different idea. My dad works out of college as well with Franciscans as opposed to Benedictine monks.
Oh, no kidding.
Mm-hmm. So that is why I came up north, all things considered. And then I'm hoping to stay here after college as well. Exactly where in this area, I don't know. I really do enjoy Manchester, and if I could stay in this general area, I'd love to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of my life up until this point, I guess, in a 10, very, very quick summary.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the difference, sort of broadly speaking, between in terms of your interactions with Franciscan monks versus Benedictine monks, would you say?
Yeah, so Franciscan monks tend to be a bit more liberal just in their lifestyle, and in not in a negative way whatsoever. Franciscans don't take a vow of stability, whereas Benedictines take a vow of stability. So stability is saying that I'm going to commit myself to a specific area and spend the rest of my life there, unless extenuating circumstances, kind of allow or force them to move elsewhere. So with Franciscans, they're a bit more mobile. The school my dad works at is called St. Francis, and their sister college is called Steubenville. It's in Ohio.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty major Catholic university in the United States. And so those monks will occasionally flip-flop from school to school, depending on what they're needed for, I don't exactly know if they can request to be moved, but I'm sure they can pull a couple more strings. So Benedictines have, I think, a bit more of an interest or an investment in the community they're placed in because the idea that once they commit, they know they're not leaving. They wake up every morning and they look out the window and there's the graveyard, and that's where they're going to spend the rest of their days when their life here is done. So for better or for worse, might as well make the best of where we are, because we're going to be here forever and ever.
Wow.
So because of that, I think Benedictines seem to be a bit more interested in their community, whereas Franciscans, I think, are much more open to moving and being a part of different communities, whereas Benedictines seem very, very centered on the community that they're actively a part of.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting.
Local Outbreak with IPMNation.com.
This is Local Outbreak, and here's more of my conversation with Cole Crusciel. So Fred clarifies in the Facebook live chat, and I knew this and I forgot it. Emmaus is near Allentown.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Allentown, as immortalized in the famous Billy Joel song. So how does New Hampshire differ from Pennsylvania?
Yeah, so I think most people would answer that question very politically. You'd say that, Pennsylvania tends to be very democratic and liberal on your east and western sides, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh kind of holding down the Democratic majority, and everywhere else tends to swing more Republican.
Yeah.
And New Hampshire seems to be a bit more of a mix where you can go almost anywhere, I feel. I guess up north would be a bit different, but it seems like anywhere is much more of a mix, and especially with Massachusetts, being pretty close to the south, that kind of, I guess, bleeds over into it. But I really don't see a political difference. I've always been interested in politics in the application of things, but I'm more interested in specific matters such as ethics and how that plays out in politics.
Yeah.
I'm a philosophy major, and I try to pull things as, look at things as ethically as I can in my classes, and pull those kind of ideas out. Because to me, if you're going to be educated in something and there's no real world application, it seems kind of weird to me to spend a lot of time and money on it. So when I'm studying philosophy, trust me, it's really cool stuff, but sometimes I have to take a step back and say, it's okay if it's cool, but you have to be willing to say, okay, how am I going to affect the people around me? How am I going to change my own life? How am I going to change the community?
Yeah.
And so for me, ethics in terms of the things I could be studying in philosophy, such as ontology, epistemology, etc., is the most striking to me, because it's something you can actually, enact in your life and in the community and with the people around you. And the difference between Pennsylvania and New Hampshire, I think, on a surface level, is they're very, very similar. There's, I think, a bit more of state pride in Pennsylvania. That not that there is not New Hampshire, but it's a different feeling. It's a different feeling of a unity that everybody is kind of stemming from the same sort of lifestyle.
Interesting.
Whereas New Hampshire seems to be a bit more unified over the idea that people are coming from different lifestyles and experiences. And especially, again, with Boston so close and you have an ocean so close. There's also much more of, I would say, like an art scene and a young person kind of feel in New Hampshire. My area of Pennsylvania is very rural. It's the idea that your family was born there, and their family was born there, and their family was born there, and so this is the only world you know.
Right.
And so and frankly, that there's a comfort in that, and there's something I really like about that. But New Hampshire seems to be a bit more of people can use it as a springboard. People can, quote unquote, get out of town and then come back later, and it's still going to be good old New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So I hesitate to say that there's a drastic difference, but there's enough of one that for me it's noticeable.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah, this is a much more, politically, it's, pretty diverse here, but it hasn't always been. Like when I was a kid, or growing up, it was very, very conservative here. And it's really changed, and a lot of it, I think, has to do with Massachusetts being right to the south. Massachusetts, obviously, a very liberal state, and over the years, a lot of folks have moved up here from there, which some people resent, which is kind of funny, but but we've really kind of assimilated into the rest of the Northeast in that way, because the Northeast, obviously, it's on an electoral map, it's blue, and we've kind of assimilated into that, but New Hampshire was kind of the last bastion of a certain conservatism that doesn't largely exist here anymore, if that makes sense. Which I guess is really just a roundabout way of saying we used to be a much more conservative state, but now it's much more diverse. And even with within our Republican Party here, there's a large libertarian wing of Republicans, libertarianism, of course, has a lot in common with conservatism, but it has some things in common with liberalism too, which is why, for example, despite having very often a Republican-controlled legislature, we were able to, we got same-sex marriage here before the Supreme Court, made their decision. And that probably wouldn't have happened had it not been for the libertarian influence within the Republican Party here. So it's very diverse. And also too, while we were playing that Pew 13 song, you were commenting too about how New Hampshire, one of the interesting things about it is how a guy like Nobody, who called earlier, can run for governor here, run in a Republican primary challenging our incumbent governor, even though, like you said, he must know he doesn't have much of a shot. But there is something sort of uniquely New Hampshire about that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's live free or die, right? Is that's what everyone is shouting from the rooftops?
Yes, yes. Despite cannabis still technically being illegal here, yes. We got decrim, but yes. And we have it's either the third or it depends who you ask. Our state legislature here is either the third or fourth largest democratically elected legislative body in the world. So people, and a lot of people don't think that's necessarily a great thing, but that's kind of a separate discussion. But people can really, if people want to get involved in politics at a ground level, there really is an opportunity to do that here. We have, let's see, Brandon. Is it Flaherty? Is that how you say that? Flaherty?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay. He says, hey, Cole, query for you. You're a philosopher. What are your thoughts on, so I'm never sure how to say this, solipsism? Solipsism. Sorry, yeah. I kind of get a little dyslexic on that word.
No worries. Brendan, excellent query. Brendan,
yes,
excellent query. So solipsism, in case you don't know, is essentially a philosophy that says that the entire world and the entire universe and everything in existence stems from one source, and that is your own mind. So if I were a solipsist, I would believe that you, sitting right in front of me, and everyone else in studio and this microphone and everyone listening to me are just figments of my imagination, that they do not exist. And I am essentially the primary being in existence, and all other beings are just a part of me in a subservient fashion. So those things might come into my existence and try to do things to me, and I can do things to them. But at the end of the day, they're just in my head, and so I really have no moral responsibility to them. I can do whatever I would like to them. I can behave in any way, shape, or form that I would like, and there is no bounds to punish me morally for that, because everything is just me.
Right.
I am the bricks on the wall. I am my own body. I am my mind. And on one hand, that sounds absurd, of course. If I'm very certain that if I threw something to you right now, you'd probably not like that and not just say, well, I'm just part of Cole's mind, so he can treat me as he wants. But if you think about it, it's a bit of a fascinating question, because it's very hard to disprove. Prove right now to me that you're not just a figment of my imagination, and I'll try to prove that I'm not just a figment of yours.
Right.
You can go back and forth. There's really no basis.
That's true.
For anything that says contrary. We're all confined to our own existence. I can't see what you're seeing or experience the feelings you're feeling.
Right.
And so it brings up almost an ethical question. If someone is a solipsist, if you genuinely believe that, I am nothing but you're a figment of your imagination, and you owe me no moral respect or that sort of thing, how do I go about trying to say, Matt, hey, you really shouldn't do that because I am a person,
right?
If I can't ever prove that, so I don't know. I think it's an interesting kind of school of thought.
Right. Yes. No, that is. And you all right, Daryl? Daryl Dion is here. Are you really here, Daryl? That's the question.
Good evening. What's the question?
Oh, never mind. We've moved on. This is Cole Crusciel.
Hi, Cole.
Daryl, very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And I believe Michael Martineau. He's the best newsman in the business.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Hello to Mike Laughlin, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. And Brandon is really enjoying or Brendan, rather, is really enjoying the discussion.
You can call him Brandon. That's fine.
Brandon
is fine.
Yes. Well, the two are so easily interchangeable.
They really are. And I mean, he's just a figment of my imagination anyway. So
he probably is.
I get to decide what to call him anyway.
Yes.
So,
Do you think it's possible that President Trump is a figment of our collective imaginations, if there is such a thing?
That would almost be better.
Like
I think.
like sort of almost like a global acid trip that we've all somehow ended up on together, if
I
that's
think
possible.
that's more or less accurate, actually.
Do you? Yes.
Yeah, I really do.
I mean, it's as reasonable as an explanation as any.
Yeah, I agree. No, absolutely. Have you ever shook his hand? Have you ever seen him in person?
I have seen him in person. Yes.
Have you touched him? Have you felt that he is a physical, real being? I have not. You know, I'm someone who just vies for logic, and I have no real proof. Internet makes up some wacky things.
That is true. Yes. So this could be him calling.
Hey, Matt, this is Brendan Flaherty.
Oh, hey.
Calling in. I just got off the Facebook Live group chat here. Cole, you can't call me Brandon. I'm just saying that. No, I'm kidding. Cole and I are roommates. So.
Oh, okay. I suspected the two of you know each other.
Yeah. Super fun. It's great. I'm not as articulate as Phil. I really just came to talk about Great Grandpa. That was pretty fun. How we got them to kind of drop their album just before everyone else got to hear it. Cole, do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about how that happened?
Yeah, so this is a plug for an indie band that is out of Seattle, Washington, a band called Great Grandpa. Just recently released an album on October 25th. It's called Four of Arrows. If anyone here is into rock music or indie rock music, definitely check it out. But essentially, being that we live in a world of social media, I figured I would just reach out to them on Instagram and say, hey, your album comes out in a week, but I want to listen to it right now. How can I do that? And I offered two things. Specifically, I said, I will make you dinner. If you come over, I will make you dinner if you give me your album already. And I said, if you need a kidney, I have two of them, so I will give you a kidney. And the conversation devolved into my offering to mail them a kidney for them to eat, which is, I was not expecting that. I don't know if they expected to make that offer.
Right.
But Brendan and myself and our other roommates then took a couple pictures of me on a table looking as if I was about to go under the knife. And then we took a piece of frozen chicken and put it in a bag of ice and put some salsa inside, shook it up and took a picture of it and told them that it was my kidney and that we'd be sending it to them. Believe it or not, after about 5 minutes of no response, they sent us a link to their album and said, please do not leak this. We are trusting you with it. So we listened to that album a week before anybody else. It's actually up for Album of the Year right now.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, which is a huge honor, and they absolutely deserve it. So check out Great Grandpa. If you get in touch with them on social media, tell them that you will send them an organ of their choosing, and you will probably get to listen to new music. Don't say I sent you, because they might get mad that they're getting random body parts mailed.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love everything about that. That's great. Wow. All right. Brendan, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. All right. So there you go. That's the.
I don't know what else to talk about, really. I just called in. This is pretty cool, Cole. Super cool opportunity for you. Hopefully you'll stick around Manchester. You always have a home at my place in Nashua until you get your own apartment. So,
Well, thank you so much. You're so kind.
Oh, you're so welcome.
You never say these nice things to me when I'm cooking you dinner or doing your dishes or anything, man.
No, absolutely not.
No, of course.
All right.
All right. Thanks for taking the call. This is great.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. All right. Thank you so much, Brandon.
Yeah.
Or Brendan.
Bye.
Sorry. Bye.
Have a great one.
Is it? It is. I'm looking at. Okay, it is Brendan. Okay, I do try to be accurate with
Give
names.
him some due respect.
Well, we should. Before we run out of time, I want to get in another song, Cole. We should play this track, "Airport Bathroom."
Yeah,
I really like this a lot.
Thank you so much.
Especially since Ben's mentioning about Amanda traveling reminded me of that.
Fantastic.
What do you? Before we'll play this. What do you want to tell us about it before we hear it?
Yeah, so this I don't really have a usual songwriting style. I just kind of go with whatever hits me. And my mom told me this story about when my aunt was born. They were flying from California to Maryland to have her baptized. And my grandmother decided that in the bathroom of the airport, she got nervous that what happens if the plane goes down? And if the plane goes down and we don't make it to the baptism. And so she took my aunt, my baby aunt, to the bathroom and put a little bit of water in her hands and said, I baptize you in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, which, if you're a Catholic, that officiates a baptism. If anybody with intention says those words and uses water, you have officially baptized somebody. They fly across the entire nation, and right before the ceremony, the priest says, we're just to confirm, you haven't baptized this child, have you? And she says, well, I haven't really baptized her, but just in case something would have happened, I did this thing in the bathroom. He said, well, what did you do? And she said, well, I did these things. He's like, well, this child is already baptized and I can do nothing for you. They had a ceremony, but they did not actually baptize my aunt again. Now that story is fantastic. But I was told this by my mother when I was a kid. And I wrote this song, and my mother said, what is this about? And I said the exact same thing. My mother said, oh, I love that story. And then my grandmother, when my mom told my grandmother that, my grandmother said, you know what, I don't know where you heard that, but I didn't do that. So apparently,
Really?
somewhere along the line, some detail got skewed where my aunt may or may not have been baptized in a bathroom at an airport. She may or may not have been baptized at all at this point. The details are skewed, but that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
That's great.
And that is why I wrote the song.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. All right, so let's give this a listen. This is Cole Crusciel as the Crucial Detail. This is Airport Bathroom.
My socks are fuzzy and on fire. I'd really like to take them off my feet. Your tired breathing keeps me focused as I try to be discreet. The Boston sunshine is deceiving. The wind chill makes its presence known. I could have stayed in California, but I don't like it on my own. Sometimes my dreams appear in color. Sometimes my days are black and white. I'd rather not go to the party. That's where you'll be at tonight. I like to think of God as smiling. I've always been a raving optimist. I do what I can to keep things steady, and I just hope he gets the gist. So I'll take my time, watch them all skip line, and I'm coming clean, slower than it seems. Always been my downfall. The weather keeps me tucked in bed. I've got to wake up to start dreaming. When you left, that's what you said. In San Diego, time was random. The sun was out for every day, but nothing can stay the same forever. You proved that when you went back east to find yourself a playwright for your problems and a nurse for all your thoughts. Some days I still think about you. Some days I sit and think a lot. Your sister was baptized at an airport. Your mother, she did it in the sink. That's why traveling feels holy. At least that's what I've come to think. So I'll take my time, watch them all skip line, but I'm coming clean, just slower than it seems.
That is great. Airport Bathroom from the Crucial Detail.
Thank you.
Local Outbreak with IPMNation.com.
This is Local Outbreak, and here's more of my conversation with Cole Crusciel. Cole is here with us. Cole Crusciel. So how did I'm trying to remember how I said your name before. I think I said Crusciel. Yeah, Crusciel.
Almost sounds cooler. I don't know. You can keep running with that as long as you'd like.
It sounds exotic, Crusciel.
A little
it sounds
French twist.
Yes, exactly. Well, we should Cole, let's make sure that everyone knows how to find your music online and so forth.
I would love that. So you can search the Crucial Detail on any of your whatever search engine you prefer. It should take you. I have accounts on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon Music, anywhere you like music. There's an awesome website called Bandcamp. I don't know if you've heard of it. Bandcamp, you can search The Crucial Detail. I'm on there as well. So everything is up and running. I have a YouTube channel as well. So The Crucial Detail, search on pretty much wherever you find music will lead you directly to me, whether you like it or not.
Excellent. And are you playing out at all? Are you doing any shows? Or
Yeah, so right now I'm finishing up, again, the album is going to be done theoretically. Again, I go in to record guitar and bass tomorrow. And then theoretically, we have to schedule my last vocal session. But the album should be released between January and March, depending on how the mixes go. And then at that point, we're going to try to start booking some stuff. I'm in communication right now with Flake Coffee over in Dover, I believe, or maybe their Portsmouth or Bedford branch, to get booked on some of their shows in the coming days. I play at Cafe Lorraine from time to time, right down the street. And play a couple house shows and dorm shows for people here and there. Once the album's out, then I'm going to try to put more of my effort away from recording and into playing out more. But hoping to get more on the scene. So updates will follow.
Cool.
Hopefully, yeah.
And then when you play out, is it always you acoustic, or do you have...
So I play with a couple people. Essentially, I was in a band before this, and we were playing mostly covers and a couple of originals. And when I started to go to recording stuff, I had a really good friend of mine, and also my boss. So I guess he's my boss first, and maybe a friend second. His name is Joe DeLoe. I work for him over at the Dana Center at St. Osmond College. I do lighting and sound for him. He said, "Listen, you should really, if you're going to do this, do it under your own name. Keep all the rights to your stuff, and make it a project you can take with you, and not be dependent on other people." So when I perform out, I title it as my solo project, quote unquote. But that's just in the sense that I have my own, my own name to it, and I write the music for it. And then whatever musicians I kind of have around me that I've been jamming with or vibing with, I'll bring on board with it as well. So I have a couple close friends that we've been playing together for a while now that I'll bring with me. So I do have, quote unquote, a full band with me. But when we perform out, I don't really try to label it as this is my band. I try to have more of a, this is the band. We are all in it together. I personally don't like the idea of myself being in the spotlight and everybody else just being the chums I brought along. Because most of them are much more talented than I am. So that's kind of how we do it. And a lot of those, one of my roommates and I have another project going, which is a bit more of like a refined acoustic-y approach that we're taking right now, and we're going to try to get in studio with some of those songs as well. A lot of good stuff happening.
Cool. Outstanding. All right. And in a couple minutes when we wrap up, I'm going to play the other project because I really like that track.
Yeah, thank you.
Remind us again, what is it, Farewell Reality?
Yeah, the band is called Farewell Reality.
next to your empty dress in television static. It's my brain. You're one room away, drinking champagne. Nice of you to invite me. I made a list of what I lost, and you were next in line. I scribbled out your name, I turned into a sickening man. I'm trapped in the past and you're